Hardest working man in show business, Dylan Butler. Dylan, what is up on a Wall Pass Wednesday? It is your standard visit here on a Wall Pass Wednesday. What outside of the purview of normal talk is on your mind? Is there anything, is the 3-hour Law and Order mega event on your mind on a Wall Pass Wednesday?
It probably should, but it's not yet. I have a question for you when we start. I popped in during your read.
That is true.
Did you say that pet cigarette, like, is that it like pets are smoking?
Oh, sorry. I was slurring everything and eliminated all punctuation in that read. So it's pets, comma, cigarettes, comma, food.
I thought it was when pets and their cigarette smell. And
Well, maybe
there are monkeys that apparently smoke. I've seen that on the interwebs.
And so, I mean, I'm right there with you. I have never known an animal to partake in any kind of, I don't know if they like Marlboro Reds, if they like cigars, if they dig Pall Mall, or if they're, if they like a good Cuban cigar or maybe
Like an old school pipe.
Yeah. And so that is a good question. If anyone in the Twitch pitch or listening later on your favorite podcatcher has any empirical evidence of animals that may be your pets that are actual smokers, then let us know, because that is something that it is a burning question on a Wall Pass Wednesday that Dylan Butler has.
Well, and the folks at Illuminize can take care of that.
That is absolutely true. See, Dylan is down with the promo reads. He sees how it steers. Well done.
Yes.
I know that we wanted to talk about a couple of things this morning. We wanted to talk about, and I guess we can just work backward and come forward. When it comes to the weekend that was, what sticks out in your mind?
Weekend that was.
A weekend that was. I feel like I need a sounder or a drop or something.
Yeah, right. I mean, if there was a bunch of things, but I think at the forefront is the seemingly resurgent NYCFC now, right? Where we said it even in this same spot literally a week ago that Campeones Cup could be the launching off point, for them, an opportunity to play in, for whatever you want to argue about it, how meaningful it actually is. There was a trophy on the line, and you could see, if you watch that match, how hard both teams played. And I was there, and you could smell the bubbly and all that kind of fun stuff right outside the locker room. So you knew how much it meant to NYCFC. And even even Nick Cushing had said after that match, to play in a match like that should definitely help them going forward. And they did. I mean, look, they scored another early goal. That maybe that's part of their formula, and Alex Callan's early goal, because it worked out in both matches.
Absolutely.
And then a 2-0 win over the Red Bulls. A big win for them. There was I never thought they were truly in danger of missing the playoffs, but they weren't trending the right way. So right. I think that they righted the ship, and I don't think too late either. Like, I think they've got 2 matches left. They've got Orlando at Red Bull Arena, and then they're at Atlanta. So good opportunity there to maybe pick up some more points, hold off maybe the charge of Orlando to get that home playoff spot, and wherever that might be, because now the Mets have made the playoffs as well. The Yankees are making the playoffs, and the Red Bulls are in the playoffs. So yeah, interesting times in the 5 boroughs. But nonetheless, I think it was a big win. And derbies always have those fun sort of talking points as well. And I think one of the more fun ones was Gerhard Struber basically saying they would definitely win that game. He said it was crystal clear that they would win that match. And Not so much on a crystal clear day at Yankee Stadium. So I think that was certainly one of the things that stood out to me. And I got to say too, it's hard. Look, I know that there's a beer sponsorship involved with rivalry games in
Correct.
MLS,
Yes.
but for me, if you're going to have teams play twice in a regular season and those games are always so important, have at least one of them late in the season, right?
Yeah,
Like where there's so much on the line as well, not just a derby. Like I hate to see derbies end like in July, you know,
yes.
like let's have something in late September, early October, to where there's more than just bragging rights on the line.
And I'm absolutely right there with you. And since this is a Wall Pass Wednesday and you're enjoying it, so which mug do you have with you this morning?
This was a gift from a family friend. There's two of these. This one is blessed. Let's see. I turn it this way. This one is blessed.
There you go.
Blessed.
There it is. Since it is a Wall Pass Wednesday,
Blessed to be with you.
yeah, Dominus Omnis, exactly. Since you mentioned NYCFC and Stadia, is there any update whatsoever on the stadium situation in Dylan Butler's favorite location for NYCFC?
No. There was some chatter that maybe there would have been an announcement a month or so ago. Not yet. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. Certainly, their current status is pretty untenable.
Right, and it seems like it's a continuing point to continue to ask. It's like I feel like I need to ask it because it seems to fly below the radar a lot, and then all of a sudden it bubbles up and pops up and explodes, and it's like, oh crap, there's something going on that we need to talk about.
That's also kind of the way that City Football Group works, like where you hear nothing, and then there's a giant explosion of news. So hopefully sooner than later with that.
One of our favorite listeners / viewers is a fan of the blue team at the other end of the park in the derby that is posted over your left shoulder.
Okay.
And he is asking Dylan, kindly remove that offensive red scarf over your left shoulder. That'd be great. Thanks.
I'm equal opportunity, and actually next to it, I'll turn it this way. I got, well, you see my laundry there too, but I got
yes.
That's a Cosmos. The pink one is a Cosmos breast cancer awareness month one, and then right next to it is New York. What was it exactly again? FC New York, which was it had about a window of like 5 minutes as a club.
Wow. What was the FC New York plan? What was their grand idea?
They had like a press conference at a New York City hotel. Like they were spending money seemingly. I think they too had a stadium plan. They did play. I remember they did play like the Red Bulls during the Open Cup. Short-lived FC New York, but I have the scarf to prove that they were in existence.
Yes, and that is what matters, especially. God, man, I could sit here. It's like, so what's in existence? I would be here for an entire show showing what's in existence for everything here. I'm trying to think.
But then like a lot of the other ones I have are places that I have been. Like I've been to Swindon and Liverpool and
very nice
and Reading. Yep. So
see Swindon. That's a good pull. That is a good obscure pull. I will grant you that one. That's very
yeah. So since it is what is it? Wall Pass.
Wall Pass Wednesday.
So which you need to get sponsored clearly.
Absolutely.
Quick story about Swindon. So, geez, I don't know. It's more than 10 years ago. Went to England and went to different stadiums. And as I have the scarves again, right? Like I went to Reading when Marcus Hanneman was their goalie. And Bobby Convey was in their midfield. So went to Swindon, and a guy that I went to St. John's with, who I covered, was Stefani Miglorenzi, who had a bit of a career at MLS, played for LA, Columbus, Philadelphia at the tail end of his career. but he was at Swindon, so I went. Got a credential. Went to his match. It was a derby match for them. They won. Was on with him. He was man of the match. So I was just hanging out with him and talking to him, and the champagne bottles were coming in from sponsors because again it was a televised match. Fast forward to the next day, I get a call saying that BBC Swindon wanted to have me on because I was this American at the match, and why was I there, and what are my thoughts on Swindon and the English
that's tremendous.
Football. So it was pretty interesting. I got to go to Newcastle, obviously, a Reading match, Swindon. I'm not sure if there might have been another one, but I toured Anfield. Yeah, it was great. It was fun times.
The suggestion from Bam, who is our resident Australian viewer, Derby Day, deadline day for the second one.
I like the idea. I don't think it'll ever happen, but that would be amazing, right? To have a derby on decision day. It's a lot of D's there, but I love it. I think decision day on its own is so crazy with all the different possibilities that I think the league just likes that on its own. But I'm with you, Bam. I'm all for it. Let's make it as meaningful as possible, right?
Yeah, being the team that stops your crosstown rivals not making the playoffs on the final day would be amazing.
Oh my God, that'd be incredible.
So you and Bam, schedule makers, make it happen.
I wish if I was the schedule maker for a day, that would be a suggestion that would likely get turned down, but I would certainly make it.
When we look at the standings right now, heading into the weekend where that no one is playing.
Not no one.
Not no one? Wait, so who do we have?
We have a Cali Classico on Saturday night.
Oh, next matches. Wait a minute. Hang on. I'm going to click my next matches.
Speaking of derbies.
There you go. Sports Center's next. I'll be damned. San Jose and LAG are this weekend. And you look at the standings right now, and obviously San Jose is I don't know if they'll get wooden spoon, but they're in contention. I mean, DC United looks like they might, have the handle on the wooden spoon with 2 matches to go. LAG right now, I don't know what to think because you look at where things are, and there's technically, if you want to get into it, you've got 7 points separating 8 points separating 8 points separating 8 teams, but really for that final playoff spot where LAG is right now, they've lost 3 of 4. Then you've got RSL, who did the Eastern Conference no favors, everybody chasing the playoffs with their loss to FC Cincinnati. They're both at 43 points. Vancouver's at 40, Seattle and Colorado 39. Colorado would really have to win out and get a lot of tiebreakers to get any kind of chance there. But when you look at LAG, what do you see right now? I just see chaos and confusion. And do we even sit there and raise an eyebrow at the future of Greg Vanney?
I hope not. To be honest, I think he's I don't know how much of a hand he had in player selection. I suspect he had a bunch. It wasn't over his head, surely, right? So he was in the room when it happened. But yeah, obviously some moves went wrong. They're not playing. I mean, he outlines it pretty much every week on exactly the way that he wants to play and what he's seeing, and he's honest in his press conferences. That is for sure. But clearly, there's a few players that they value that they're not getting anything out of, right? So
Cabral and Costa 1 and 2.
But on the flip, the move for Ricky Puig could not have been better, right? So you hang your hat on that, and what a godsend he has been for them, right? I mean, probably the only reason that they're even in contention right now for the playoffs is because of what he's done and his playmaking abilities and scoring big goals as well. He's been so much fun to watch for them, and a massive help too for their attack, for their forward line. Whether it's Chicharito or Djokovic. So like, here's the thing for them. This match, this like lone match, you don't even assign it a week. It's only the one game.
Yep.
Is their match in hand on everybody else that's around them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is their chance to get, if they get 3 points here, right? Like they would be even with Portland on points, and Portland is in 5th, right? So they would jump over Minnesota. They create a little more space at the playoff line. So it's all to play for the Galaxy. They need to get this game. Obviously, San Jose just playing for spoilers at this point, but a huge one for them. I think, I know this changes week by week, which is just the nature of MLS, but looking at the table, like, I'm not still sold on I think Minnesota's certainly trending the wrong way.
Yeah.
I think Portland has done enough, right? I think they'll stay up. I do think LA will stay up. And here comes Vancouver again, man. Like, from the dead, they just seem like that team now that will, again, on decision day, like, get like a 93rd minute winner from Ryan Gold or something like that, and suddenly they're in the playoffs, and their coach is drunk on the podium or something. So
wearing the Couch Ultras T-shirt again.
Yeah, right.
And then by the time that we come back together next week, the other match in hand with Seattle and Cincy is wiped off the board. And I think this was a CONCACAF Champions League reshift.
I believe so. Yeah, and there was another one too that was like a schedule, a rain out one, right? Or that comes right before decision day. There was like a Miami Orlando, I want to say.
Well, I thought that was the one that got pushed because of U.S. Open Cup final.
Oh yeah, right. I just assumed it was weather.
Yeah, well, yeah, you and me both. But you've got those that will get everything right as rain, to borrow that phrase. But I mean, Seattle, when they have their match in hand, if they win, they get to 42, and it's their 13th win, which is just as important. The sheer number of wins that you have, considering that's your first tiebreaker and not goal difference. And I'm just going to leave that one alone, because we would continue through your allotted time, sir, in discussing why that's your first tiebreaker and not goal difference. But that's just me. Seattle could do the East a bit of a favor if they take care of business against Cincinnati and make sure that Cincinnati doesn't continue to go up the table and keep them as drawn in as close to that gaggle in the East chasing after that 7th playoff spot.
I will say this, if it's decision day,
oof,
and Seattle have a chance at all, I don't want to be any of those other teams in the West that are anywhere near them, right? Like, they're like that ghost. You're just like, no, like the Michael Myers, like you see him across the street, like, no, like, that's scary. If I'm any of them, I want them dead and buried before decision day. I don't even want them to have an opportunity, even the slightest opportunity to have a spot at a chance to make the playoffs, because they obviously having done it for 13 years, they just find a way somehow. So if I'm Salt Lake, Vancouver, LA, probably Minnesota at that point, I'm not. I want that big E, or the little. I guess a little case. That's a little E. I'm looking at right now.
You want the little E that's on soccer.com. Have you ever seen a season in your coverage / fandom of MLS that has been as nuts as this one is / could be, considering the final 2 weeks of the season and where things are and chasing after playoff spots?
No, I don't think so. I think there's drama all up and down the table, right? Like, we don't have a Shield winner, and I feel like the last couple years, at least, that's pretty much been in the bag, right? Like, at this point, like New England ran away with it last year. That was even a question. So at the top of it, there's that intrigue, right? And then even if the top spot in each conference is set, there's still teams jockeying for home games. And again, with the change in format, and that could be a whole, another story, a whole other show that we would have. But with the change in format, with it being a one-off, it's massive to have that game at home, right? So much to play for to get a top four spot, and then at the bottom, again, so many teams still uh, alive and fighting with 2 to 3 matches left in the regular season. So no, I don't. I haven't seen that, and I feel like with expansion and with the more parity that appears to be in this league, like I think that's only going to continue, right? Like it's gonna St. Louis coming in next year. I think that just it'll be the same way, right? Like or even more drama late in the season.
And, obviously that's something it's very cool for those of us who cover it and those of us who watch it. But, those who are in offices behind closed doors are sitting there with their hair and they're going like this for the remaining couple of weeks of the season.
Yeah, not fun for like an Adrian Heath.
No. So then, all right. So then you mentioned Adrian Heath. Let me ask you this. Yes, he just signed that massive contract. Is that contract too big if Minnesota falls off a cliff? Is that contract renewal too big to let him go along the same lines as a Greg Vanney if Minnesota falls off a cliff?
Yeah, I would. I was surprised at that extension because I would have said he's a coach on the hot seat.
Yeah.
So that did surprise me, and I would think again if they don't make the postseason, he could point to a bunch of different reasons, but to me, injuries really shouldn't be an excuse if you build up the depth on your roster, and I don't think they've been a deep team, right? So yeah, I would think he would have a pretty hot seat. I was trying to think of others who may or may not. I would only put. I hope that Vanny's not there, just because I like him as a manager, but I could see him being there because of the city that he's in and because of the stakes that are there between those two teams, right? And because of the nature of being the manager of the Galaxy, right? Like there's a history of winning there. We've talked about Vermees before. I don't think he would be, and plus their turnaround late in the season, I think shows there's still work to do in the offseason clearly, but they're trending in the right way late in the season. So I think he would be fine.
What about Bruce?
I think it's up to him. I don't think he'll be shown the door, but I think it's up to him. Like if he doesn't want it, he'll step down. But I don't think it'll be one of those parted ways.
No, I figured it would be Bruce's decision if Bruce just gets frustrated enough and he just walks a piece of paper up, throws it in the garbage, and it's like, yeah, I'm done. Got 6 minutes and two other topics that I wanted to get into before you go. The 22 and then the USMNT. I wanted to get into before we go. Then we got into it in the first hour of the show when we got into the list. We spent a good 20 minutes on just the concept of the list. And I get the idea that it's 22 under 22, ergo you've got to have 22 names. But folks that are watching us this morning, we're sitting there going, Caleb Wiley was an omission. And, personally, I was looking at Caleb being swapped out for Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy. And I was questioning Obed Vargas, considering he's been injured for most of the year. Yes, he's been great when he's been in, but the body of work because of his injury hasn't been there this year. What did you think about, I guess, A, the list in general, and then B, the idea of rankings instead of just doing something alphabetically where really your list could be 30 long?
Yeah, no, it could be for sure. I think 22 under 22 is a tough one because you're not, and it even says it too, right? Like the rankings aren't based on just how they're playing this season, right? And I think that's where a Marshall-Ruddy comes in. It's also based on the potential sale, and interest overseas, and he's had that certainly. Not that Wiley hasn't, he has as well. They turned down a deal, right, for him that was even bigger than a possible the transfer for Bello. So I could understand Atlanta fans being a little bit irked at that, but I think there being different rules and what makes a 2020 to 22. I think there's a lot of gray area there, and I think that's where the debate comes in. I think, right? So I could see those guys being there. As far as the numbers, it's super hard.
Yeah.
You might have a consensus one, which I think Ferreira was, right?
Yeah. But some folks they were talking to Tom Bogert in the anonymous chamber, and somebody said Slonina as a number.
Yeah, I mean,
because of the sale to Chelsea and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you go across like the different categories to make the list, I think Ferreira probably checks off more boxes, right? He certainly had a better year than Slonina.
Yeah.
Regular national team guy, right? He's going to be likely the starting number 9 when they take on Wales on November 21st. So I have no problem with Ferreira. And for me too, like my initial thought was I felt like Slonina was rated too highly, but again, he's going to Chelsea. Clearly not going to play right away. He's going to be loaned out and get minutes, and he's one for the future. But it's hard to argue with, where he's rated for his age group, right? Which is pretty much at the very top in the world. So I think when you're that highly rated, you deserve a high mark in the 22 and the 22.
And then Thiago Almada, with what he's been able to show folks this season at number 2, and Atlanta United folks really looking at Thiago Almada and his future as well. Okay, before you go,
hope he performs well with I hope he gets a chance to play. And hope he performs well with Argentina. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely hopes he crushes it. USMNT, before you go, that is a very, very early start Friday morning. So I guess when I look to my left, I'm going to be looking to my left a lot because that's where my big monitor is here in the office. What are you looking at with this bunch, with this first match? What are you looking at really with this first match out here in the September window?
Yeah, I mean, there's still questions for positions, right? And this is something I wrote for OSDB Sports.com. Just sort of
plug. There you go. Nicely done.
Looking at this window and who's got the most to prove, right? And obviously the number 9 spot's still wide open. I think Jesus Ferreira has the upper edge, right? Because when you hear Berhalter's comments about what he wants in a number 9, he's even said that Jesus ticks all those boxes. I think a Josh Sargent has really played well of late. So I think this is a big camp for him, right? Like, could you be that second striker? Are you the first guy off the bench? Was surprised at the Pepe versus Pifok move there.
Yeah.
But, Berhalter's been pretty consistent with what he's liked out of Pepe, even though he's not in form. He has just scored his first goal though for his new team. So, I think this I would imagine Berhalter is hoping this is a chance for him to get energized. I think guys on the outside backs, right, like Vines and Scally, depth pieces there, right, with Dest and Jedi Robinson, but injuries happen, so you want to see what they can show. I think it's a big chance for Matt Turner to just grab that starting goalkeeper spot with both of his hands, literally.
Yep.
So that's another thing you want to keep an eye out for. And maybe the wild card here is a Johnny Cardozo, right? Coming in for Musa, who you would say was part of that nucleus of like definite guys on the roster in the lineup. And I still think he is. Obviously, he's a little bit injured right now, but big for him. And I think the last spot I think that's important is for Aaron Long to show well and really solidify that spot. I think it's his to lose next to Walker Zimmerman. But I think it's important for him to play really well. And how ironic is that? Because he lost his spot to Miles Robinson because of injury and now gains it back because of Miles Robinson's injury. So I think it's big for him to play well too. So I think those for me are the biggest things I'm going to be looking out for. And you're always interested to see the lineup and you want to try to look ahead and figure out what Berhalter's going to have his team look like come late November. But I think those for me are the most intriguing ones.
Heart of hearts, who do you pair with Walker Zimmerman?
Long.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think again, because they want to be a pressing team and he's in a pressing style. He's used to putting out all those fires and it's tough to be a Red Bulls center back because again, they're throwing all their numbers forward, right? So you can get hit on a counter really quick, and if you don't win that first header, you're in trouble. So I think he's performed well for club and for country when he's been in there. Again, if not for injury, he probably still would have had that spot. No disrespect to Miles Robinson. So I think he'll have that spot. I don't there's other guys, Chris Richard. I think it's his. I think it's Aaron Long's to take. I don't think there's many lineup for me. I don't think there's many lineup decisions really, except for probably the number 9. And even there, I think it's Ferreira's to lose too.
All right, time for the promo. What are you writing? What are you doing? Who's your high school game this weekend?
High school game is Massapequa at Freeport, which is Big Boy Nassau County football Friday night out at Freeport High School. So that should be a fun one. Already got my calls done there. Charts to work on tonight. Don't know what else. I'll actually be on that San Jose LA match on Saturday night, so that should be always fun. The Cali Classico, and on the editing shift again tonight for what are they calling that? The League's Cup Showcase, right? Is that the official name?
Sounds good.
I think I will say this before I go. I think this is going to be good for Cincinnati because they've got high aspirations, and you've heard Pat Noonan speak about it. Even though this is pretty much a meaningless match they're playing tonight, like just to give his team the feel, right? Like he's going to go into the locker room and be like, boys, this is where we want to be. We want to be playing Champions League football. And this is the environment. These are the teams that you want to play against. So I think it'll be a good run out for them during, the international break. To me, that's I think the biggest, and I guess Nashville would say the same, right?
Yes.
Like they have the same aspirations as well. Last point before I forget, was not surprised. I know there's been the Brandon Vasquez hype train a little bit going on. Was not surprised. He was not included. One, he wasn't part of the setup, right? So to me, you've got to do so much better than the guys who are in the setup already, and he's not.
Yep. Like
he's played well. But then Berhalter saw him in person at Citi Field, the match that I was there against NYCFC, and he got subbed out, having really not done anything, and then he didn't play well in his last match. So I think not having the previous international experience and then just not outperforming, like a Sargent getting hot, I think hurts him. So I know there's a lot of people out there who are like, how do you not have Brandon Vasquez part of the camp? Well, that's the reason why, right? This is the last camp before the big games, right? So it's not tinkering time.
No, the body of work is not there for Brandon Vasquez yet.
Right.
And he literally would have to have set the proverbial soccer world on fire to really get into consideration. And you with your empirical evidence, with you and Glenn Crooks on the call, keeping an eye on Brandon Vasquez, and he doesn't do all that well. So, I've got my conference calls, as a matter of fact, after the show is over for high school football. So I'm right there with you on your Wednesdays. Once again, thanks as always for hanging out with us and giving your perspectives. And a lot of folks in the Twitch pitch like to have your conversations, and they like to have conversations with you and such. But
Nice.
Thanks for hanging out for another week. We'll catch up and we'll have some of the matches in hand taken care of. We'll talk about that and get ready for the sprint to the remainder of everything. Dylan, as always, thanks a lot, my friend.
Cheers.